Okay, you brought some foreign thing for me to do. You got a patch stuck on me, Casey. What is this? It's a Dutch test?
Personal guinea pig. So it's called the Dutch test. It has nothing to do with Amsterdam. It's the dried urine testing comprehensive hormone test. And it's by a company called Precision Analytical. And in our past conversations, you had mentioned two really key things. One is that you had a high estrogen.
Yes.
And that was without any sort of hormone replacement. And Jason's given me permission to talk about his medical
you guys
history,
are going to know everything about me, so this is going to be fun.
So you had high estrogen, and then in another conversation, you had mentioned that there were changes in your urinary stream.
Right, I'm turning into an old man at 47.
And a lot of men just kind of accept that as just, I guess, their fate. I don't know, but there are some things we can do about it.
Cool.
And I'm pretty sure I know what I'm fine on the test. So like your symptoms are super clear. I almost don't even need the test, but it's super fun to see it in the test itself.
So like, what will I get, like a PDF or?
Yeah.
And then what's going to be on it?
We should probably go over that maybe once we get the results. But the report comes back. It's like a 7 or 8 page test. And so you've had most people who are watching this have probably had some sort of hormone testing where they've gone in, they've gotten their blood drawn, and they get back an estrogen and they get back a testosterone. They might get a progesterone, depending on if they're male or female. Right. And that's it. What the Dutch does is it looks at the levels of the hormones relative to each other, because that's the key. It's not really so much the absolute hormone levels. Right. It's how they are relative to each other. And then the next thing that the Dutch test really stands out is that it looks at how you metabolize those hormones. And for testosterone, that's really important because testosterone can go down 3 pathways. Its 2 primary pathways are 5-alpha and 5-bravo. And the alpha can wreak a lot of havoc, and that's the one that enlarges your prostate. And so you can genetically just prefer the 5-alpha pathway, or as men age, they tend to drift over to the 5-alpha pathway. And what's even better is that we have ways to block it. The third way that a testosterone can go down is called aromatization. And so anybody who's ever done weightlifting or quote unquote abused testosterone, they understand what aromatization is. It's how testosterone turns into estrogen. And that's why bodybuilders that can often get the boobs. That's where that comes from. Right. So that's the symptom of the estrogen.
So like there's a lot of guys taking testosterone now.
Right.
And so what, because we had talked about this before, but if you're just taking testosterone and there's like a bunch of other things that you need to do, right? Not just take testosterone and hope for the good, because if you're spiking your levels.
So whenever I'm going to replace somebody with hormones, and I don't think that's the plan with you, but when I am going to do it, I always really want somebody to do this test at least once, because that way I know how you metabolize. And so instead of just waiting for symptoms to appear or you to have problems, I can get it right the first time with one test. And so it's looking at all the metabolites. It also does something with your adrenal. It looks at your adrenal glands and how they're functioning. And it's not just adrenal levels. It's looking at the times of the day and whether you prefer cortisone over cortisol. I'm getting pretty technical. How much free hormone is available. So that has a lot to do with your energy. And then the final page of it, it looks at some organic acids, and those are pretty popular. People may or may not have heard of them, but it looks at some levels like glutathione and your B12, which we use a measurement called methylmalonic acid for B12. B12 itself is not a good measurement. You want to use what we call a functional test, and it's MMA. Stands for something different though than.
So this seems like way more expensive than anything you could get online, or just like going to the regular doctor or whatever.
Yeah. So the Dutch test, they say that like they're the most comprehensive test for health on the market, and I agree. Like there's so much we can get from just this one test, and so the test is actually a urine test, and you take it home. And I don't know how clear this is going to be on the video, but they have the instructions here. You start in the afternoon, and then you go to bed. If you happen to wake up at night, especially a male with an enlarging prostate will tend to wake up at night. And then you have a morning sample, and then you have a 2-hour post-wake sample. So this is the hardest part of the test, is you're not allowed to have coffee until the 2-hour post.
Are you supposed to fast 24 hours or?
No, not at all. It's just anything that messes with your urine is going to mess with the test. So you don't want to drink alcohol or caffeine, and you don't want to overhydrate either. And so they tell you not to drink water. How about like
supplements and stuff like that? Would they mess with that?
If you're taking adrenal supplements, that's something we would talk about one-on-one. Like don't take this, do take that. But it's really not even a 24-hour test. test. So you really kind of can hold your supplements off. They
Right.
do have some instructions about if you're on hormones of what to take and when and how long to stop and stuff like that. Women that are cycling are supposed to do it on a certain day of the cycle, but men can collect any day of the month. There's no, or postmenopausal women. So the test is the same actually for men and women because we all have all the hormones. We just have them in different levels.
Right.
And we metabolize them the same, or not the same, but males, and it doesn't have to do with male or female of how we metabolize them. So again, the test is a urine test. And so it's an all-inclusive kit. They've got videos online. If you have questions, they're super helpful if you need to call them. If you're
so I would get that from your clinic and then they will send the results to you. Do I send this away and then they send it to you?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay, cool.
They've got some new things now. They used to just have all these were the same, but now they kind of have them all labeled for you.
Oh, cool.
And so I used to tell patients like mark these in advance because you don't want to have a bunch of urine drying on the back of your toilet and you don't remember which test is which because they're timed for the dinner time, morning, and all that sample. So basically, you just pee on the strip. It's absorbent, and then you just set it on the counter.
You have to concentrate, guys.
Right. Aim is
at
important.
Least it's wide. I like that it's wide.
Aiming is important here.
Especially middle of the night. If it's like going to wake up in the night, that's going to be fun.
So you just let it dry on the counter. And then when it's dry, you fold it all up and you package it. They have an envelope in here. They tell you how many stamps to put on and it's sent off. And then we magically get the results. It does take a full 2 weeks. That's kind of one downer of the test. But one thing I want to say, so they tell us not to drink any water during the tests, but this lab is based in Portland, so they don't know what it's like to live in the high desert. Oh. So I tell people to go ahead and drink sip water if they're thirsty. Like, just don't chug it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's the Dutch test. So I'm excited to look at your results because I'm pretty sure I'm going to see some aromatization and a 5-alpha preference.
Yeah. So, and then she's predicting stuff. And we're going to go over it in detail on the podcast. So I think
and then we'll go over it
because we've given permission.
Because you've given permission, and we have ways to help with these pathways. We can block them. We can do something that will promote a pathway so that it pulls away from another pathway. We can block some pathways so it pushes it down another pathway.
That's so interesting.
It's really cool.
Everybody should be doing this.
Yes, I love particularly to get a hold of women in like their 20s before especially if they're having hormonal problems, because I can totally change like the path of their life with their periods and stuff. So
wow, that's crazy.
But men typically, I capture them in their mid to late 40s.
Me. That's awesome. So we'll get more into detail on this. We'll do another one. This will be in like 2 weeks or more. Because I'll get started doing my test here very soon. Cool. Thanks, Casey.
Yeah, absolutely.